we have an awareness. We factor in ourselves. We factor in our routine, how we usually do things. We factor in our individual dogs, and then we just make a decision and we stay present to know that if what we decided to do is working, so that we could change something up early before anyone explodes or before it gets out of hand.
Hi, I'm Kathy Kowalik, and I believe that our dogs connect us to the heart and soul of what really matters in life. So hang out, and we'll take a deep dive into the human-dog connection and explore strategies that will inspire you to create legendary, enlightened partnership with your dog. This is the Enlightened by Dogs podcast. Well, hello, Kathy Kowalik here, your host of Enlightened by Dogs. And I've got something I'm really excited to share with you today. It is a segment from a coaching call in my Brilliant Partners Academy that was pretty good. I think you're really going to get a lot out of it. I'm coaching one of my students who has a young border collie who is starting to show keen interest in the sheep and the horses on her farm. And we work out how to best handle the situation right now and how to prepare for future development as her dog matures. And so there's a lot of gold nuggets in this episode for all dogs, not just working dogs, not just border collies, and not just herding dogs, although you will get a lot out of it if you have any of the above. But for everyone, if you have a dog that gets, keen on squirrels or rabbits or anything when you are out and about with your daily routine outside of your house, etc., you're going to really love this discussion and how we dive deep into not only how to assess our dog, but how to assess ourselves and what we should do with that assessment. So I think you're really going to love this. Let's roll that right now.
And instead, we can replace that with something that's much more contemporary and recognizes that dogs are sentient, cognitive, and willing to partner social mammals, and we've evolved together. And if we look at it from that perspective, now we can look at the questions that we talked about a little earlier, which is, is my dog mindful and present and calm and easy to ask to do something? If we have all of that, then that's kind of just releasing all those other thoughts. Now, not to say that that's a permanent thing, right? So Sonic is this way now, but that's not to say that in a month that won't change, right? That's not to say that, on June 1st, you're going to go out there and you're going to say, oh my God, what is Sonic doing? He's got his tail up and his head up and he's racing around the sheep pen and he won't call off, right? So not to say that that won't happen if you just let things be. So we go back to the plan, right? We stay connected, we check in, we ask him to come with us sometimes, we hang out there with him sometimes. We show him the ropes that this is what it's like to live on a farm together, or put on another dog. This is what it's like to live in the city together. This is what it's like to live in the suburbs together. And we guide and role model for our dogs. This is what it's like. This is how we do things. And so if one day you go out there, like let's say in 3 weeks from now, you went out there and you're going out for potty in the morning, and Sonic just does like a hard left and takes off. And you're thinking, oh my God, is there like something in with animals? You know what I mean? And so you go around the corner to look and you think maybe he's taking care of some business, right? Like something's harassing the stalker. There's a, I don't know, there's a bear in with the horses or something. And so you go look and there's nothing going on except your dog locked onto the sheep or something. You know what I mean? Oh, wow. Things have changed rather dramatically. And so now you change the way you do things, right? And if it gets to that place, that's okay. Today's the new day, and you start to change up what you do and how you go out and how you stay connected with him and da 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 da. But ideally, what you notice for the days leading up to that day is, oh, I noticed that instead of being relaxed and going out to potty, I noticed that Sonic kind of has his tail up a little bit and he keeps like flicking his head over and his ears over to the livestock. Oh, that's interesting. Like, oh, he's communicating to me that staying with us and pottying isn't what he wants to do, that he really wants to leave us and go over to the sheep or the horses or whatever. Good information. I'm going to stay on it right now and show him, remind him, help him, support him to do what we do as a family. Do you know what I'm saying? And so this is what we do. This is what brilliant partners do, is that we don't let things escalate to that place. I mean, we will sometimes, we just don't know. We were oblivious. But then we learn from it, right? That's okay. We learn from it, or we learn from others that have been there. So we don't have to go there ourselves, right? So not to just to close that loop on this part here, not to say that just because things are pretty good with Sonic right now and there's no issues, not to say that you should go out with blinders and with your head up your butt, so to speak, because that can change.
And because he's a puppy, as he matures and gets older, things can change just because of that. And I need to be mindful of hormones and stuff.
Absolutely.
And his state of mind, or our state of mind, and the group's state of mind, if he were to behave like that, like if he was super aroused before, could be a reason for that. So I need to be cognizant just as he gets older, and it could be week to week.
Sure, because as he gets more confidence in himself as a being, part of that confidence with him as a working dog, part of that confidence will express as a stronger keenness to work. Right. So that dogs get more and more keen as they get more and more confident. So that you could expect that, like if you start working him, you can expect everything to shift. You know what I mean? You could expect him to be a little bit more keen. He might be a little bit more easily aroused at first when you first start him. Because he has keenness, but not confidence yet. You know what I mean? But as his confidence catches up, it'll like rebalance out. But it will shift. And so there will be a time when we start working our dogs where they're really keen and a little bit harder to manage in that situation. Like they're going to really want to work, like they're going to campaign a little harder, be a little bit harder to call off, etc., because they're like reaching a new place, right? But they haven't worked out all the details yet. But if we continue on doing what we know how to do, it'll just level off. And then you'll have this very keen, very confident dog that is also a real solid partner, and you don't have to worry about. So that kind of like a little bit of excitement, keenness, that's a little bit out of balance, kind of peaks up once we start working the dogs, but then it kind of levels out, and then it just kind of hits a nice plateau where where the type of dog they are. Like some dogs will always be a little bit more excitable than other types of working dogs. But whatever, like they'll just kind of become more solid. And then of course, as they get more and more experience in their work and they have more experiences, etc., their confidence will continue to grow, but their arousal, their tendency to get aroused will continue to diminish. And so their confidence and keenness will grow, but their arousal, it'll split, they'll part ways, right? And so it's in the first, they're kind of like both those things are kind of riding together, but then when it'll peak once we get a little bit of work under their belt and they start to learn, oh, we partner here too, right? So the confidence and keenness will continue to grow, but the arousal will just kind of like level off, and so it'll separate. So you can expect to see Sonic get a little bit more arousable and a little bit more keen, not only as he gets more confident as a person because of his age and maturing, but also when you start working him. But it will level off.
Okay, that's all right. I have to remember that, how all that is.
Yeah, fluid. And so when you start working him, start letting him work the sheep, you may find that you have to change the way things go when you're not working him for a while until it levels back off again. So you may need to intentionally keep him with you. You may need to keep him in the house when you can't be attentive, right? Because there will be a time when that's all he can, like when you go out, that's all he'll be able to think about. Not all, but his attention will be very captured by that, and it won't be quite balanced. He won't be balanced yet, right? So he will get imbalanced for a little bit. And anyone that has a working dog will see that, like, they'll get their arousal level will grow a little bit at a little faster rate than their maturing in their work and their confidence, right? And so their keenness expresses more like arousal, not over-arousal necessarily, but arousal, but then it levels off, and the confidence and in themselves and their ability to work and their ability to partner with you, that just keeps growing and growing. And so then the arousal just tapers off. And then it won't matter anymore. Then you can go out and your dog will be more like what he is now. They'll still go out and they'll still want to go see the sheep and want to go check out everything, but they know they're not working. They'll know that, you have other things to do. Like, it won't be an issue. Whereas in that little bit, when you start working, that will shift, that will change. So he will be a little harder to call off and stuff, or to keep with you.
All right. I hadn't thought about that. I didn't think I was, I don't know if I'm going to, because I'm such a beginner with working dogs. I didn't know if I should, even take him in with the sheep, to do, simple things. I don't know if I'll do that or not, but yeah, I'll definitely watch for changes and then jump on a coaching call if it does change.
Okay. Sounds good.
And then hopefully, I don't know, that you will talk about the other kind of dogs that is not mindful also. Maybe that'll come up.
Yeah. Well, I'll finish with that, because there's probably several people saying, hey, I have the other kind of dog. Yeah. Okay, good. Thanks, Tammy. Keep us posted. Let us know how it goes. And if you have any follow-up questions, let me know. Okay, so for the other kind of dog, or like in Tammy's case, if things were different, if her dog was, running out there and acting crazy and getting over aroused and not connected with her and like challenging to connect with and, to like pull off, whether it was off of sheep or squirrels or rabbits. If we have that situation, we do what we do with everything else, which is, okay, this is way too hard for us. We're not going to put ourselves into that situation. We're going to figure out how to be together as partners in this context where we are not getting crazy. Neither of us. You're not getting over aroused and I'm not getting frustrated or angry or worried or whatever. Like I'm going to experiment and figure out what this is going to look like. And so in that case, we're getting really, really clear on our clarity questions, and we're figuring out ways to manage the comings and goings in a way that keeps both you and your dog from getting over aroused, getting into the orange zone, right? Or continuing on the escalation scale. And so we're just going to experiment. So just like anything else, times a day, looking at how full buckets already are with the other dogs, without the other dogs, on leash, off leash, long line, no long line, alone, with me. You know what I mean? There's all kinds of configurations of things that we could experiment with. We know our dogs. We know, we're taking a look at the situation, the environment, and then we're just going to experiment, always looking for, like, what's the thing that I can try that is likely or strongly possible to be a step toward staying connected and mindful and learning how we do things in this context, right? And so that management piece that we bring into the mix looks different. Like in Tammy's case, her management piece is like when we go out, like sometimes we go to the fence together. Sometimes I invite him to come to the barn with me before he goes to the fence, sometimes like coming and going, right? And so the management in that case it is still management, but it looks different. If we have a dog that was really getting over aroused, then the management might require, it will definitely require us to be very, very present. And one of the first decisions we have to make is, what am I going to do? How can I configure this so that I can stay present, so I could be present to help my dog and help us break through, this cycle, this reactivity spiral that we're in. Like, I want to have a breakthrough here. And so first things first, I need to be present and know myself, know what triggers me, know that, like, if I'm, having a really bad day for any reason, like I'm going to manage my dog. Let's say we go out into the yard and there's squirrels and my dog gets nutty, like screaming and barking and chasing and won't come, like whatever, right? Let's say that's the scenario. Let's say I had a really bad day at work, or I had a fight with my husband or something, or like whatever, something, that stressed me out happened. And that's not going to be a good day to experiment with walking outside with my dog without having something like a leash or a long line or some treats or whatever, like you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to do something that makes it really easy for me to be present with my dog, and hopefully keeps me from bubbling over, from my bucket to bubble over, right? Because once my bucket bubbles over, I I'm in the orange zone. I can't help my dog anymore. Right. I'm not there. I'm no longer available for my dog or for me. I'm just mirroring my dog, basically. So knowing ourselves and having an awareness of our own stress buckets, how full is our own bucket, what's going on, like is our fuse really short today? For like for me, my fuse gets short when I'm worried about, like, look, one of my dogs, somebody's sick or something like that. Like I tend to get more worried. I tend to get a shorter fuse if I have a strong worry about the health of one of my dogs, or like someone's like, oh my gosh, like, Clarky's limping really bad. Like, what happened? Oh my God. Like, so now I'm worried, like, am I going to be able to get him in to see someone? Should I even try? Do I need to try? Can I try to, work on it myself? Like, so I have all those decisions. So there's like, 100 micro decisions that is like, in a bubble of worry and anxiety and stress about why he's limping. My bucket is full right now. And so it's not going to take much for, let's say, we're going outside and I'm trying to keep Clarky quiet because I don't know what's going on, but he's got to potty. And what's it going to take? Oh, it's going to take, I don't know, Harry running, spinning a circle and coming out of a circle and bashing into Clark. That's what it's going to take today for me to have a meltdown. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm already right there. Like, my bucket is full. And in particular, the reason my bucket is full just like exploded, right? And so I'm about like 110% sure that if that were to be a real life scenario, that I would be yelling at everyone. I would be mostly yelling at Harry, but I would just be mad, right? Because I know myself. I know that if I were in that situation, and how could I have prevented that in the first place? By knowing myself enough and being present enough to say, okay, I'm feeling really stressed about this. I don't know what's going on with Clark's leg, but I'm not in a good place to take all the dogs out together today. So I'm going to let Harry out and whoever, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to keep Clarky with me. I'm going to put him in another room or something, let them out. And then I'm going to ask Clarky to go out with me in a different direction in the other yard. I have, because I have a front and a back, or a barnyard, like, you know what I mean? I can take him in a different place. And so that's what I would do. So I would think ahead, even just in the moment. I would recognize that I'm worried, I'm stressed out, rather than trying to manage everybody, which I could do under most circumstances. I could, it's like not that hard, right? But today, I can't. I know I can't. I'm too worried. I'm too stressed out. And I don't want to take any chances. I don't want to risk hurting Clark. Right? So today, I'm not going to do what we normally do. You see what I'm saying? And so knowing ourselves is really key, because we're like, we're the hinge pin. Like, we're the thing that makes everything work and flow and keeps things going smoothly. And so a big part of it is starting with us, knowing ourselves, knowing our thoughts, knowing how we're feeling, hearing the sentences, how we're thinking, how we're feeling. Like, so knowing how we are currently feeling and thinking is going to inform what we do next. If we just keep remembering that, that's a big part of it. And then from there, we look at our dogs and we kind of do the same thing for them, right? Like take that scenario. Well, I know that in the mornings when the dogs go out, they're really excited and they're like, Yahoo. And so I know that if I need something to change about what happens this morning, that I need to do something different about how we do it this morning, because if I don't, everyone's just going to operate off of habit. This is how we usually do things in the morning. We run out. Like once I release everyone, they go out and, then they, whatever, let's say they, somebody's barking, someone's spinning, someone's running to go pee, whatever. And so today maybe I need to do something different. And so I do that. And then maybe on an individual basis, I say, oh, I see that I know that so-and-so is feeling, not feeling good today. Let's say like Katie, I know she's not feeling good today. So I'm not going to put her into the mix today. I'm going to do something different with her today. You know what I mean? So we have an awareness. We factor in ourselves. We factor in like our routine, how we usually do things. We factor in our individual dogs, and then we just make a decision and we stay present to know that if what we decided to do is working, so that we could change something up early before anyone explodes or before it gets out of hand, before Sonic, runs around the corner and now I have to call him back. You know what I mean? So we want to stay present enough in advance, like have an idea in advance, and then stay present enough in the moment so that we can follow through with what we've decided to do and adjust anything, any part of it as we go, as needed.
All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. And if you did, number one, please share this episode with your dog mom friends. I know that they would all appreciate that. And number two, it would be amazing if you would leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen, but especially on Apple Podcast or Spotify, any of the big services, because the more people that leave a rating and review, the more they put it out there. So it's kind of like the algorithm. So I would really appreciate it because we want to spread the word. All right. Well, that's what I have for you today. Have an amazing week. I will see you next time. And be brilliant. Bye-bye for now. Thanks so much for listening. And hey, if you would like to work with me so that I can help you discover the missing pieces you need so that you and your dog can finally be happy and enjoy life together, then head on over to dancingheartsdogacademy.com and request your invitation to join us in the Brilliant Partners Academy when the doors open for the next enrollment. See you next time, and remember, a brilliant partnership with your dog makes your whole life brilliant.